Hey cats, Ed Budman here. A few more comparisons coming your way against the Zoom Fly 5 from Nike, up against some other shoes from Hoka, Puma and Reebok. Let's dive into part 2 of the Zoom Fly 5 versus the rest. Thanks for tuning in, cats, it's always appreciated. Help the channel gather more momentum by hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below for notifications when I roll out those new videos for you. You can also give this video a thumbs up, like and share it with your running buddies. Hit us with a super thanks if you've got a particular question you want answered or you just want to help the channel out on an ad hoc basis. Some more comparisons today against the Zoom Fly 5 from Nike. I'm actually really enjoying this one, but more as a sort of steady cruiser with the ability to go a little bit faster if I need to. First shoe up in the comparisons today is against the Tempo Next Percent from Nike. This is a viewer requested one. I have to be honest, I find this a very aggressive shoe. It's not one that really makes you want to run slowly. I have to go all out in this thing. It's a bit like a Mustang. Somewhat lighter shoe actually against the Zoom Fly 5 by about 33 grams, which is 1.2 ounces. Remember, every ounce counts. Both shoes have a similar surface area in the midfoot and also in the heel, though the Tempo Next Percent is by far the more flexible of the two shoes. That's mainly due to the fact that Nike have carved out this middle section of the midsole. As you can see here, that is not the case. There's much less rigidity to the Tempo Next Percent, which is probably down to the nylon plate that's included in the midsole of that shoe. This one does have a carbon plate and a whole lot more foam, and it just makes it that bit more rigid. Some people may prefer the slightly more forgiving toe off that you get in the Tempo Next Percent. That's obviously amplified again by that slightly less rigid nylon plate. I think certainly for out and out pace, the Tempo Next Percent is the best shoe of the two. It does feel as if there's a little less shoe here when compared to the Zoom Fly 5. It's the quicker and more nimble of the two in today's selection. Some people though may really welcome the additional surface area and that kind of cupped feeling that you get around the heel. It's just a very stable ride here in the Zoom Fly 5. Gotta say, both are quite loud offerings when you get out there and start slapping the road. There's an almost strange hollowness actually about the sound that you get from the Tempo Next Percent. You can certainly hear people coming and they can hear you coming. I didn't get a whole bunch of wear on the Tempo Next Percent whatsoever after 100 miles. Already after about 30 miles or so I'm getting some wear here in the lateral heel and a tiny little bit in the mid to forefoot. I'm not sure what Nike are playing out there with the rubber in their recent shoes. It does seem to wear down very quickly. The Tempo Next Percent was a real favourite of mine, a very quick and nimble training option. I guess you could race in it as well, why not? As such, despite the higher price of this one, if I had to have one of these two, it would certainly be the Tempo Next Percent. Lighter still, but only by a few grams, is the Reebok Floatride Energy X. This one clocks in at 295 grams in my UK size 11, so that's 10.4 ounces in a US 12, which makes it about 44 grams lighter than the Zoom Fly 5. It's like 1.5 ounces, I think. Only a part plate in this shoe, which goes from the mid to forefoot, and there's a lot more squash and compression from the midsole underfoot. Makes this an excellent budget long run shoe if you're new to the carbon game. There's nowhere near the rigidity of the Zoom Fly 5 in the Energy X. It could make for like an introductory shoe if you've never had a plated shoe before. There's still masses of cushion here with that Floatride foam. You do get a little slither of the Floatride Plus just where the plate is. I think it's like underneath the plate, in fact. Considering the price of this shoe as well, it's quite often discounted way below like £90, so I think that's a really good deal for this one. We've got a little bit more width here in the heel of the Energy X versus the Zoom Fly 5, and lockdown's on point with that very unique lacing system here, which kind of draws in as you get closer towards the toe box. Again, these shoes really do cup around the back of the foot in the heel. There's a lot of foam there to aid in the stability if you do mid to heel strike. You could say there's some considerable protrusions there. Just don't go stepping on them and destroy your shoes, okay? Outsole wise, we've got a much thinner spreading of rubber on the Energy X in both the forefoot and the heel. I got a little bit of wear in the lateral heel, but I think these shoes have done probably about 3 times the number of miles that the Zoom Fly 5 have up to now. And as such, at a more reasonable price. I think this does a lot of things that the Zoom Fly 5 will do, but it's going to leave your wallet feeling a lot better. A few extra Earth credits to spend on something else perhaps. So if I had to have one of these, it would definitely be the Energy X. I can't say that I'm disliking my miles in the Zoom Fly 5. It is an enjoyable ride, certainly. I just feel there's a lot of other shoes out there at the moment that are perhaps doing the same job but for less cash. Now, this next shoe makes the Zoom Fly 5 seem very substantial on foot. It's the Rocket X from HOKA. This one comes in my UK size 11.5 at 247 grams. I think it's about 8.7 ounces total. I think I've got about 35 millimeters of stack height in the back of the shoe. I think it's a bit of an overlooked shoe, this one. When people have tried it out, they've really enjoyed it. Now, this one offers a carbon plate, but at a much lower retail price, or at least discounted retail price right now. I've seen these well under £90 on quite a few UK retail outlets. Now, it makes it 92 grams lighter than the Zoom Fly 5 in my size. That's like 3.25 ounces. I think there's a half size in it actually, so it's not quite that bad, but yeah, you're still probably talking about 85 grams, something like that. There's a lot less width in the heel here of the Rocket X versus the Zoom Fly 5. There's about 2 centimeters difference actually. Just for comparison there, it really is quite striking. Less foam underfoot here and a very responsive and quite propulsive ride. I'd suggest it's a more runner-led kind of shoe rather than one that's like flinging you forwards. And in terms of HOKA shoes, this is absolutely my favourite model that they've put out ever. There's similar levels of flex between these two shoes in terms of the midsole, though I would suggest that the Rocket X is by far the most race-ready shoe of the two. There's just less bulk here and it's a far more nimble ride. And both shoes still have more foam around that sort of midfoot arch area here that does stabilise the ride too. I think the EVA blend here that we've got in the Rocket X won't be for everybody. If you want super shoes with super new foams that are critical and all that kind of jazz, then probably not the one to go for. Though I think the same could probably be said for the Zoom Fly 5. It certainly isn't a ZOOMX-y ride. If you prefer your shoes with a lower stack, then the Rocket X is probably the one for you to go for. Something that's race ready, but you can also use for training as well. Found it pretty durable. And of course, at discounted prices, they're way below the Zoom Fly 5. Nike seems to be pricing their training shoes higher and higher each year, just like the stack height of their shoes keeps getting higher and higher. Very much a trainer versus a racer in this comparison. Last comparison today is the Puma Deviate Nitro. A carbon-based plate here with that very bouncy, rebound-like nitro midsole material. The plate here certainly provides a stabilising element, if anything. That foam is very compressive and I found that it worked very well on longer, faster-paced runs. Kind of the same use case really, I guess, that Nike intend for the Zoom Fly 5, but this one's much lighter on foot. Makes me feel a little bit more nimble, I suppose, and it doesn't control your run quite so much. So in the same size, it's a clear 40 grams lighter than the Zoom Fly 5, so that's about 1.4 ounces. There's only a little bit less stack height here in the Puma Deviate Nitro versus the Zoom Fly 5. It's only by a couple of millimeters. So against the Nike shoe, I think this one's probably a more viable race option. I think it walks the line between racing and training very, very well. It's certainly got the durability and the longevity. Puma grip, as we know, is very durable. It just never seems to wear down and provides an excellent amount of traction. I think it's light enough yet aggressive enough for you to use up to the marathon distance, though don't forget the Elite version, which is considerably lighter than this one. I'm seeing wear on the Zoom Fly 5 already, so it's an easy decision on this one. Just the Street Fly, the Invincible Run and the Pegasus 39 all seeing very quick wear. As such, I think the Deviate Nitro is a better bet right now, again on some super hot discounts as well. Just browse around, you'll soon find them way below $100 or £100. I just think it's got everything that the Zoom Fly 5's got to offer, but it's a little bit lighter. Okay, that's pretty much all of the requests that I've had in terms of comparisons against this new Nike shoe. Have you picked it up? Are you enjoying it? Again, I'm going to state I am quite enjoying using the shoe. Just think there's better, cheaper options that cover all of its use cases. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. An awesome musical interlude for you now. I'm really lucky to own this one on vinyl. Sounds Incorporated by Sounds Incorporated. These guys were a fantastic, mainly instrumental group back in the 60s. I think they're a 6-piece in total, brilliant musicians. They backed loads of very famous artists on tour, including the Beatles at one point, I think. Their version of the William Tell Overture is just total chaos. Very, very exciting chaos. If you want to transport yourself back to the 1960s, just put on Rinky Dink, which features on this album. There's organ in there, wonderful guitar strumming. There's loads of energy there. You can feel it spilling out of the speakers. The track Last Night could well be featured in like an Austin Powers film, and Like Cavalry is just total fun. Lots and lots of brass there. There is a fantastic video of Sounds Incorporated backing Little Richard back in the 60s. Do go and check that out on YouTube. It is one of the greatest live rock and roll performances of all time. Go and beam yourself back to the 60s without a time machine, listening to Sounds Incorporated. Thanks for tuning in, people. Always appreciated. Help the channel grow by hitting that subscribe button and clicking the bell below for notifications when I launch the new videos for you. Also, give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you